Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the third episode of the Get a Load of This podcast. I am known as Sir Bert Leaman in most circles, though I've been known to go by other names, and I'm joined today with JC
Hello.
and Lilac Down Deep,
Hello.
and we're going to talk about some stuff. JC, what do you got for us?
Well, I'm going to run through some news first before we get to any of the major topics. I'll start out with some movies. Let's see what we got. James Cameron still planning on a live-action film adaptation of the anime Battle Angel Alita, though he probably won't be starting it until 2017. There's more villain rumors for Marvel's upcoming film Guardians of the Galaxy. Latest rumors that Benicio del Toro is playing the Collector, an immortal being collects objects and people to repopulate the universe. And Lee Pace will play Ronan the Accuser, Kree warrior, and our Doctor Who alum Karen Gillian will play Nebula, the space pirate who claims to be Thanos' granddaughter. It's all rumor, of course. We'll have to wait for official confirmation. Hollywood has picked up the rights to make a film based off the recent Boston bombing tragedy. It's based off an upcoming book called Boston Strong, and it's supposed to look at the city's reaction to the bombings and the subsequent search for the bomber. There's no word on when it'll be released or who's going to be playing in it. Sam Mendes, director of Skyfall, is returning for the next Bond movie, scheduled for November 2015. It'll be the 24th film in the franchise and the second film under Mendes, and Daniel Craig will also return as James Bond himself. The film is rumored to be based off the 2008 Bond novel Devil May Care. And in more Marvel news, the next X-Men film is rumored to be an adaptation of X-Force. With Days of Future Past set to release next year, the X-Men film slate is clear, so 20th Century Fox's registered domain name led to the X-Force, and Rob Liefeld has said that there are plans for a movie. Jeff Wadlow, the director of Kick-Ass 2, is supposed to be writing and directing the movie. X-Force, they're the more militant counterpart to the regular X-Men from the 90s. The thing is, characters like Cable and Deadpool are also supposed to appear in the movie. Deadpool is supposed to spin off into his own film, and then there's supposed to be Magneto film also in production. This is all Liefeld, running his mouth, so we'll have to see. Zachary Quinto, the character who played Spock in the recent Star Trek film reboot, has hinted that Star Trek 3 might be coming sooner than expected. Word is from the Paramount higher-ups that it's supposed to start filming next year, and J.J. Abrams is actually still attached to direct it. So Paramount's trying to set up Star Trek 3 to go up against J.J. Abrams' other sci-fi film, Star Wars 7, which will be interesting summer. I think that about does it for movie news. There are some video game news. The Ouya was quietly released. You can go probably find it in your local GameStop, but console funded entirely by crowdsourcing and play Android-based games and, of course, emulators, which is probably the reason most people are buying it. Check your game store, see if they have it. Sony trademarks PlayStation TV, a trademark that covers everything software and hardware related, though it's also a service mark, so it covers stuff like streaming television. It's more than likely a Sony-branded competitor to Netflix or Hulu, set to run directly through the PlayStation. New Ratchet & Clank game has also been announced for the PlayStation 3. It's supposed to be coming out this holiday season. Ratchet & Clank Into the Nexus is an epilogue to the Ratchet & Clank Future Trilogy. Promises the crazy weaponry and epic space battles fans love from the series, all for a price at $30. And more games coming out this year. DuckTales Remastered, Capcom's remake of the classic NES DuckTales game from 1989, is set to release this August 13th for the PlayStation Network, Nintendo eShop, and PC. With Xbox Live users are going to have to wait till September 11th to get it. The price point is $14.99, though there's a box version releasing for the PlayStation 3, set at $19.99. The box version comes with a collectible DuckTales Disney pin. Super Smash Bros. Has a new character, an old character from Brawl. Captain Olimar is set to return to the roster, and we'll probably be hearing more as the game, releases close to its date in 2014. Popular indie fighting game Skullgirls is finally getting a PC release for August 22nd. If you didn't donate to the crowdsourcer, you can buy into the closed beta right now for $36 and then get free access to the game when it's released. The PC version is said to have improved multiplayer and will, of course, have the 4 upcoming DLC characters. New Pokemon have been revealed, including evolutions for already revealed Pokemon, Pancham and, all the Pokemon. All the Pokemon have been revealed. Next Street Fighter 4 version has been announced, Ultra Street Fighter 4, with 5 new characters. 4 have already been revealed, though the 5th is still a mystery. Set to release later this year. For those who already own the game, it'll be released as DLC for $15, though you can also buy a standalone physical copy for $40. Steam Summer Sale also started last week. If you're ready for a miracle, be sure to check in Steam every day for new deals and low prices. And gosh, I think that about covers everything in the news. Did I miss anything, guys?
Not on my side.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head right there.
Okay. All right.
Awesome.
Plowed right through that like a steam train.
Yeah, I know, right? Anyway, for those of you who may or may not already know, I am a big Doctor Who fan, and there's actually been some really interesting, really awesome Doctor Who news.
Oh yeah.
For example, the BBC has actually released some first official shots of David Bradley playing William Hartnell, the first Doctor. If you don't know who David Bradley is, he played Argus Filch in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, and he also played Solomon in an earlier Doctor Who episode. He's also in Game of Thrones, if you guys are a fan of that. And he's going to be playing Basil in The World's End. That's coming out in 2013. On top of that, there may also be new actors playing the old Doctor Who characters, such as Jamie Glover as William Russell, who played Ian, Gemma Powell as Jacqueline Hill, who played Barbara, and Claudia Grant as Carol Ann Ford, who played the Doctor's granddaughter, Susan. Reese Shearsmith is also on board as Patrick Troughton, the second Doctor, and Mark Eden, who appeared as Marco Polo back in 1964. He returns to the world of Doctor Who, playing Donald Baverstock. The drama will be known as An Adventure in Space and Time, and it's going to explore the origins of Doctor Who. So look forward to that in November when the 50th anniversary specials start coming out. On top of that, we found out a little bit more information on the Hurt Doctor. He is Doctor 8.5, and he's combining McGann and Eccleston's look, the leather jacket and the more classical feel. There's going to be only 3 Doctors to appear in the 50th anniversary. It's just Smith, Tennant, and Hurt. And beyond that, they're starting to rule out 12th Doctors again. There were suggestions of various Torchwood characters that might make that appearance. Russell Tovey, I believe, he played Alonzo Frame from Voyage of the Dam. Alonzo.
Oh yeah.
And Bert Gorman, aka Torchwood's Owen Harper, has also been ruled out. Sorry. He would have been nice.
Yeah.
And on the Big Finish side of things, the audios, the light at the end is going to be their Doctor Who 50th anniversary. It's going to be written by Nicholas Briggs, who's also the voice of the Daleks and the Cybermen. The synopsis is November 23rd, 1963. Proves to be a significant day in the lives of all 8 Doctors. It's the day Bob Dovey's life is ripped apart. From suburban England throughout war-torn alien landscapes and into a deadly artificial dimension, all these Doctors and their companions must struggle against the power of an unfathomable alien technology. And the cast will be Tom Baker, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, and Paul McGann as the Doctor, all of them. Louise Jameson as Leela, the girl with the knives, basically, in the classic series. Sarah Sutton as Nyssa from the 5th Doctor's companion. Nicola Bryant Perry for the 6th Doctor. Sophie Aldred as Ace as the 7th Doctor, and our audio exclusive India Fisher as Charlie Pollard, and then we have Jeffrey Beavers as the Master. I think we would call him. Jeffrey Beavers played the Corpse Master, as we call him.
Okay.
The corpse one,
Yeah.
The creepy face and eyes and things.
Yeah.
That'll be coming out in November, and
Wow.
that's about it on my side.
Wow. That's quite a lot of Doctor Who right there.
It's gonna be a
Lots of
busy
Doctor Who.
November for Doctor Who fans. It's gonna
I
be
know,
good.
right? It's gonna be so much. I'm probably going to be pre-ordering the standard edition of The Light at the End, watching the finale. Probably doing a little uh I guess you could call it a live stream maybe of The Light at the End.
Oh, nice.
It's still up in the air. I'm probably gonna be live streaming Zagreus at some point as well.
Oh, all right.
It's great audio. Um, yeah,
There's so many characters that you listed that,
yeah, I know.
if any series is going to have a who's who, I think it's Doctor Who, because I don't know who's who at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
The
Oh,
who's who of Doctor Who.
That's why I had to explain most of the classic companions.
Mm.
Um, most of us would know who the classic doctors are. Tom Baker, I mean, come on, guy with the scarf. The
Well,
Scarf Man.
the doctor you think about.
Yeah.
I've not fallen that far into the event horizon, so
Well, I
into
have,
the
unfortunately, for everybody.
into the time vortex, or
Mm,
whatever it's called.
The
I'm
shiny
sorry.
thing, Leaman.
The shiny
I'm showing my Doctor Who knowledge
Yeah.
here, but I wanted to ask you.
yeah.
You brought up the fact that they are bringing back the first Doctor. I mean, obviously played by a different guy, but
Yes.
that he's actually going to be in a television special.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just the first one, or are there going to be others? What's going on with that? Do you know?
From the looks of it, it might just be the first one, but they had mentioned that someone was interested in playing the second Doctor. So we'll have to see what's going on there. But
I'm just
if
surprised that they
yeah.
aren't bringing a lot more of them back for the 50th.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember there were rumors going around that they were going to have like all of the Doctors show up.
Yeah, there was some rumors and complaints, but there's only going to be 3. However, there's also been some rumors partially confirmed that there have been some classic audios, not classic audios, classic videotapes of the old Doctor Who episodes that may be found. So they're trying to put those as well in November, releasing those.
Oh, wow, that would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did remember hearing that there was like a whole cache of Doctor Who, classic Doctor Who, that was thought to have been lost, that was covered.
Yeah. So you can look forward to that as well. And of course we have The Light at the End, which is introducing quite a bunch more different doctors. And the nice thing about the audio series is that they don't have a strict timeline or strict amount of time that they have compared to the TV series. So including 3 doctors is probably far easier compared to, say, The Light at the End.
Oh, yeah.
Which includes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 doctors.
Yeah, I love how the audio stuff can just get like anybody they want in them.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, you're not bogged down.
Technically, they can't make audio series of any of the new doctors. They managed to like step past those boundaries at some point for their lead up to the new series, but or not to the new series, the 50th anniversary, for all that. So, yeah, that's about it. It's lots of news coming in for Doctor Who, and we're probably expecting a lot more as time goes by.
Now, I guess one last thing for me on the subject Doctor Who. It seems weird to me that now I haven't watched the last bit of the most recent series, but they brought in this doctor played by Mr. Hurt, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like he's going to be reoccurring for some period of time. At least he's showing up in this next special. I mean, isn't it sort of taboo for the Doctor to retread on his own timeline?
Yeah, it is. And usually that would result in like a hole the size of Belgium. But time crash reference, sorry. But there have been in the previous classic series certain reasons why that happens. I guess we'll have to wait until the 50th anniversary, see how that is played out.
But there's no word on whether or not he's going to be sticking around, or if it's just like a thing.
No, I don't think he'll stick around.
He might be like a recurring villain, like the Master or something. That would be like the only way I could see him sticking around, really.
Has he been confirmed to be a villainous character?
No, it's only confirmed that he's like a darker version of the Doctor.
Yeah.
I don't know what personality, but they have already taken sort of the dark evil version as the Valeyard, but that's about it. Although the Valeyard is considered canon in the Doctor Who movies,
Yeah.
in the Doctor Who series.
The
So
Hooniverse?
yeah, the Whoniverse, the main part,
The universe.
the Whoniverse, yeah. Because there's the TV, which trumps everything else, and then we have the expanded universe, which is the audio series, the books, and all that. Um, since the Valeyard is considered canon, then that'll make for some rather interesting things coming up ahead, I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like Doctor Who fans have plenty to look forward to, but I don't think they're the only ones, are they, JC?
Indeed.
No, actually. For fans of, good old American fun, not to diss Doctor Who or anything, but
No, Doctor Who's a pretty British thing. I
it's
know.
actually pretty quite British. Disney ended up releasing pretty much his entire animated slate for the next couple years before quickly, pulling it all off the internet. Thankfully, though, I did manage to catch it before it got pulled off everywhere, and I can now say what the majority of Disney's animated films will be for the next couple years.
Yeah, what are they?
So we got Frozen, of course, coming out this year, and then next year is Big Hero 6, which is the the Marvel. It's like a lesser known Marvel superhero team, and they're getting an animated film next year. Now, there's no word yet on what's releasing for 2015, but in 2016 we have Zootopia and Giants. Now, there's no word on what Zootopia is, but it will be directed by one of Tangled's co-directors, Byron Howard, and the film will star Jason Bateman. Zootopia, I'm guessing, is probably related to zoos or Paradise Jungles or something. And their next fairy tale film will be Giants in November 2016, which will be directed by the other Tangled director, Nathan Greeno. The rumor is it might be based off the Name Game, which was a film reportedly in production based off Rumpelstiltskin. So we'll have to see about that. And then 2017 is a blank slate again, but for 2018 we have Moana, which is being directed by the duo Ron Kelmans and John Musker. And it is a Polynesian story that follows island inhabitants and tiki idols that is famous the world over. So, it sounds very different for Disney, It is kind of interesting.
And I don't know. I could kind of see some Emperor's New Groove sort of take to that.
Well, there's some rumor that it might be tied into the Enchanted Tiki Room in, Disney parks. And then we have an untitled Dean Wellen feature for 2018. And Dean Wellen, he was a writer for Tangled and animator on Princess and the Frog. And all we know about that film is it's like a teenage space race, whatever that means. That's set for 2018. Now, we have a couple other films that don't have any release dates yet. We have a Mickey Mouse film, believe it or not.
Really?
Oh boy!
Yeah, we have a Mickey Mouse film set to come out in the next couple of years. I think they were still making King of the Elves, which was based off a short story about a man who finds elves and they crown him king of their land or something. And there, of course, have been rumors for Wreck-It Ralph 2. And that could fill out 2015 and 2017 right there, those three movies.
Yes!
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Disney's got a very large slate ahead of them in a couple of years, and, a lot of it is very, different than what they've really made before. Teenage space races, Polynesian films, and, of course, the feature-length Mickey Mouse film is something we haven't had since, Fantasia.
Yeah. And even then, Fantasia was kind of less of a Mickey Mouse film and more of a...
really. Mickey Mouse was in it for 10 minutes, and, that was it.
Well, what about, The Three Musketeers?
That wasn't theatrically released.
No, but, I mean, it's still a...
It was actually supposed to be released in the theaters, but they pulled it at the last second for... Disney didn't think it would sell enough.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was really good. It'll be interesting if they do it in the animation style of their recent shorts or not.
Yeah.
Well, I was under the impression that they had kind of given up on 2D animation.
Oh.
Well,
I mean, they did. I mean, they reopened the one animation studio, but didn't they close it again after Princess and the Frog didn't do too well?
Yeah, we've had like conflicting stuff coming out. It's like some are saying that they are doing 2D films.
mhm.
Some are coming out of the studio saying they're not doing any 2D films ever again. They're just going to focus on stuff like shorts and internet. Like What's that Gator's name? It has like the internet shorts.
I don't know.
Yeah, but they're
You're knee
actually.
deep in Disney. I only kind of stick a pinky toe in.
I don't really watch the internet
Oh,
alligators.
are you against alligators on the internet or something?
Net gators. Yes, I hate net
I mean, come
gators.
on, JC.
I'm not. I'm not like
Uh
prejudiced
huh.
against them or anything.
Uh huh. So that they didn't have any more rumblings about Wreck-It Ralph 2.
No, no more rumblings for Ralph 2.
That's
Uh,
a shame.
Actually,
I
no.
love Wreck-It Ralph.
I mean, yeah, animated wise, that is it. Though there are some like live action stuff going on. They're actually making like live action remakes of the Jungle Book, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty.
Like live action remakes of the Disney films or live action retellings of the classic stories.
Disney's just calling them remakes. They're not really saying what the stories are.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I think that would be kind of weird if they're doing remakes of their own stuff in live action.
That would be odd. Well, they did that with 101 Dalmatians.
I guess they did, but
Yeah. Oh yeah, and they're
I,
making a sequel to Alice in Wonderland. I forgot that.
to which Alice in
The
Wonderland?
Johnny Depp one.
Oh boy.
Oh joy!
Yeah, they actually brought like him like under the studio house and like they're producing the film now instead of Tim Burton's production
Hmm.
company.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it will be interesting.
All right.
Hmm.
Well.
Well, I'm in a violent mood. Leaman, what do you got?
Well, I could punch somebody for you.
I don't
Is that
know.
is that what you want?
No,
Is that what you're looking
I
for?
don't think so.
Oh,
I'm looking for some smashing actually.
smashing.
Some smashing.
Well, there was a game for the NES called Smash TV. Is
Smash
that
TV. Oh,
is
I
that?
heard about that. Was that any good? Was that any good?
I think I played it once years
Yeah.
ago. It was kind of
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But no, is that what you're maybe you're looking for something a little bit more brosy.
Yeah, bro.
Well,
Bros.
I could tell you, Evo, the big fighting game tournament, and it's not just a single tournament. I mean, Evo hosts all kinds of games. This year
Oh
they
yeah.
had King of Fighters, they had uh, Injustice, they had Street Fighter 4, they had Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and they had a little known game that some people may have heard of called Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Hmm.
Yeah, you
Oh
may have
yeah.
heard of it. The thing of it was though is that it almost didn't happen.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, let me take you back to a number of months ago. Um, they had I guess you'd call it a poll to vote on the last game that would get into the rotation for Evo this year. Some of the games that were in that were Skullgirls, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, I believe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think there may have been a couple more. And the way people voted, so to speak, is that each game was working to raise money for breast cancer research.
Oh cool.
Hmm.
And overall, all of the games together pulled together about 200,000.
Wow.
Nice.
But the game that pulled the most was the game that was going to make it into Evo, and that game was Super Smash Bros. Melee, getting almost $95,000. So
Wow.
apparently some people wanted to play some Smash Brothers,
Yeah.
which is all right. It's a good game. Uh, but then late last week, I guess about midweek, about Wednesday, Nintendo contacted the guys who run Evo, and they wanted them to pull it.
Hmm.
And not just initially, it was reported that Nintendo was canceling the streaming for Smash Brothers
Mhm.
Melee, but later on, the guys that run Evo actually said no, Nintendo wanted the whole thing just pulled, and
Why?
that they were able to talk them down. There hasn't been any word yet on the reasoning,
Huh.
but initially they wanted the whole thing pulled. They talked them down into only pulling, you know, taking it off stream, but still allowing it to happen. But then they, like 3 hours after Nintendo was like, you can't do this, they came back and were like, okay, go ahead and stream it. And nobody really knows why. Now,
That's strange.
Nintendo here recently has really been ticking some people off. You may recall that a number of months ago, they started pulling ad revenue from YouTubers who were doing Let's Plays and other videos of Nintendo games.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
And they apparently, and they've made no announcement since then, but apparently they've overturned that, at least to some degree, because some of the Let's Players are getting their ad revenue back on those videos.
Oh, nice.
But the only statement that Nintendo released was that they wanted to protect their IP. Now, copyright doesn't work exactly the same in the US as it does over in Japan. And there may just be some confusion over whether or not their characters are still protected. I think that they may just be trying to make sure that they've got that people have a clear perception of who owns Mario, who wears the overalls in this relationship. And
I can see that, yeah.
I don't know, it's just, I think it's kind of crazy, but a lot of Nintendo fans have been really getting very vocal about their disgust for what Nintendo's been doing here lately. And I don't think that it's like, I don't think Nintendo's trying to bleed money out of their fans or anything. Nintendo's stance on this kind of thing has usually been pretty much like, let people have fun.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, it's kind of peculiar. And I don't know if you, going back even a little further, like, there was the SOPA Act that was trying to get pushed through Congress. Nintendo was one of the companies that was on board with it.
Oh, really?
But again, that may have just been because they were, that they want to make sure that their property is protected.
Yeah, Nintendo has been like really, controlling of their, properties and everything.
Well, it's no wonder.
Well, as much as I can, it's a surprise that DeviantArt has been pulled out, considering the amount of people who like to take official art.
I drew this. Well, it's mine.
I think that Nintendo's probably had bad experiences with this, considering, like, the old Mario Brothers movie. Granted, that was a licensed product, but it was a licensed product that took their license and kind of ran into strange places with it.
Yeah.
And from what I've heard, there was actually a Mario... you may want to cover the ears of younger viewers right now, but there was actually a Mario porn parody that had been made. That Nintendo...
What?
Yeah, in Japan, mind you. Oh. That Nintendo purchased so that they could lock it away and make sure no one would ever see it again.
Uh-oh.
Interesting.
That they will go to those lengths to protect their image, I guess. Yeah. So no word on what's been going on. I know that some journalists have tried to reach out for comment, but I haven't actually heard of anything. And unfortunately, I'm not exactly close enough to Nintendo for them to return my calls, so...
Oh.
Keep calling. Right? Keep calling.
I totally wanted to, play Smash Brothers with Miyamoto and Iwata.
And Reggie.
Sure. But Reggie's always ready.
Yeah. He's always ready.
His body is always ready.
For everything.
Oh my.
Yeah, we'll have to keep listening for Nintendo's front, see if anything, new comes out of that, or if they ever release a statement, but... let's go away from Nintendo and look at Sega. Why not?
Sega.
Yay.
And Sega does what Nintendo don't, and you know what Sega does?
What?
They do a licensed comic off of their characters.
They do?
They sure do.
I've never heard of that.
They do. It's called Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, no, wait, yeah, I read that.
And you know what else they do? They cross over with other licensed comics in a great comic event called Worlds Collide.
Like with Mario?
No, not with Mario.
Oh.
Not with Mario.
Man?
No.
Oh.
It's that little blue guy.
The little blue guy. Little blue guy.
The little blue
Squirtle?
Squirtle.
Yes, it's Squirtle.
Squirtle. Squirtle.
No, of course we're talking about Mega Man!
Who's finally getting a little attention these days. Nice name.
Oh, yeah.
little Mega Man tidbit here, real quick. I hear that there's going to be some Mega Man news at Comic Con.
Oh yeah, actually, there's supposed
Ooh.
to be like some like big rumblings about announcing something new at Comic Con, Capcom.
That's next weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, but yeah, next weekend.
Yeah, listen up for that, guys. But anyway, back to Worlds Collide.
Worlds Collide. Gosh, I don't even know what issue we're on actually.
The most
Uh,
recent issue to hit comic retailers, I believe, is Part 10.
Part
let
10.
me
Okay, so we're
let me
almost
double
done.
check.
Oh wow.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, Part 10.
Yeah.
Part 11, I've actually heard that Part 11 and Part 12 have already hit some subscribers, though.
Wow. You lucky some
Yeah.
dogs you.
It's just 2 days away from the street date for part 11.
Hmm.
Part 12 is. Where is my notes? There. I lost my notes. Anyway, it's coming out. The shipping date is the 17th, 2 days from now.
Okay.
So it should be out
And the street
next week.
date will be, yeah, the street date will be the last day of July.
Hmm.
And that will be the end
That'll be the end of Worlds
of
Collide.
Worlds Collide.
It has been one ride.
Yeah, let me tell you.
I mean, some of the stuff from the latest issues, like those huge splash pages with like all the robot masters.
Those were done by Ben Bates, weren't they?
Yeah, Ben Bates is amazing art.
Yeah.
And
But
according to Bates and the others, apparently it took them each like 3 days at a time to finish those splash pages. That's how long it took.
man, that's
It
crazy.
they definitely show some love though.
Hmm.
Oh, they do. I mean, they're really well drawn. I mean, you can tell, like
Hmm.
like you said, they put love into it. You can just copy paste all the robot masters, stock art,
No,
everything.
they did everything.
Yeah,
The last arc of Worlds Collide, it's basically gone cracked down on the villains and the heroes, and they're all pretty much allied. Well, maybe not so much on Dr. Wily and Dr. Eggman, the villains of each game, but it's starting to crack down.
I like that even though we're getting to the end of the crossover, there's still like tons of like references and tons of not I don't want to say jokes, but
Yeah,
um, winks and nudges here and there.
yeah,
I don't know.
humorous,
I
changes and stuff.
I really like the base one, but base is in the comic that's going to be coming out in 2 days, so I can't spoil that.
Yeah, we're not gonna spoil the latest plot points of the latest issues or anything, but
No,
go to your
we're
comic
probably
shop and
just
buy
gonna
it for that. But
we're gonna talk about the amazing art of Ben
yeah,
Bates.
I mean,
It's been beautiful.
Hmm.
wow, this guy, I don't know where they found him or anything, but
They found him on the side of a road,
He was on a bus in Cleveland
a well
and
drawn bus on a well drawn road.
and
but
it was raised by wolf artists, and he gained the powers every time of the full moon. He gains super art powers and just sketches like a madman
I
you
think
know
you mean the
and helps
powers.
the moon.
I think you
I
mean
think
powers of the raw moon.
Yes.
oh
Oh,
I think that my head canon is probably going to be that Spaz was his like samurai master, teaching him the ways
His mentor.
yes.
of ninja artistry.
This
They
is how
both
you
went to.
hold pencil.
Well, because I mean, Spaz used to be all over the place, and his art was amazing, and now he's kind of like receded into the shadows, and he's letting someone else take the
Yeah,
spotlight.
Bates.
Indeed.
Oh, but
Yeah, it has actually been an exceptionally well written crossover
Mhm.
because usually when you get crossovers, it doesn't really fit very well together, and they try to shoehorn in everything.
well,
Yes.
typically when you have crossovers, it's like two opposing freight trains that they just kind of run into each other and go, let's see how this resolves itself.
Yeah,
One of the worst offenders of that is actually and I'm probably going to get so much hate for this, but Bleed Man's comics as well is horrible about that. Shoehorning characters, so many characters into one panel to the point where Everything is just crammed into a huge mess of what the heck is going on.
What's going
Cramming
on?
in characters that have no point of being in the crossover. They're not written into the crossover. Um, and it's just a huge
Yeah.
mess.
He
But
even
in
published stuff like Star Trek and X-Men. I mean, like those kind of crossovers.
Well, typically when a crossover is done, it's done to. I mean, it's all supposed to be. Well, I shouldn't put it that way. It's written to all be fan service.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's just about, oh look, this character and this character are appearing on panel together, yay! When I don't
Yeah.
think that that's not. I don't think that's how you should do a crossover. I mean, it's fun when
no,
you have those moments, but if they don't happen organically, they feel sort of hollow.
yeah,
Yeah. I
uh,
mean,
But
like,
that's somewhere where Worlds Collide hasn't failed. I
yeah.
don't think.
yeah. I
Some
mean,
of the Worlds Collide would be probably one of the top examples of a good crossover in my books.
it really would be.
Yeah, the others would be Agency, which is a fan comic, and the Doctor Who and Star Trek crossover. That was actually pretty good.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, like Sonic and Mega Man. I mean, you do get a lot of fan service. Don't get me
Hmm.
wrong. With
Yeah.
all the Sega characters and all the Mega Man characters appearing, but it all fits together. I mean, it all flows so well. I mean, none of it really feels very forced. It's like, oh,
Hmm.
well, those characters would be there because, I mean, they would be there.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And that's
and
just one thing I've really liked so far when I've been
yeah,
reading the Worlds Collide.
yeah. Despite the
Well,
fact that some of the comics have seemed a bit rushed. I mean, you have all this crossover in like what, 4, 8, 12
12
issues.
issues.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Well,
so it's gonna be a bit crammed, but it's
well, I
still
could
good.
I could forgive it in some places because there are certain aspects of it that you probably want to get past faster.
Hmm.
Like the first few issues were all about Sonic and Mega Man fighting, really, and kind
Yeah.
of explaining why.
How
yeah,
did that
And
happen?
and
Hmm.
everybody knows that the first rule of crossovers is that the heroes have to fight.
Yes.
So I mean, they got to it and got it out of the way and gave it an explanation that wasn't just like, oh, there's a guy, I should totally punch him in the face just because,
yeah.
well, he's there.
That's Wolverine's explanation for fighting anyone. But
Except he doesn't punch; he goes straight to the claws.
Yep.
Snicket
But
butt.
it gave a good reason. Um, and it the entire crossover should just be called the Wily and Eggman Hour Show because, good Lord,
oh
the
gosh,
entire crossover has just been priceless
oh
for
gosh,
Eggman and Wily.
I
They're
support
like
that.
the best couple
I
ever.
support
We'll
that
see.
pairing.
We'll see. That's probably why the crossover is done so well, is because it wasn't just like normally when you have a crossover that starts with two villains getting together, the villains don't tend to mesh.
Hmm.
You
Oh
throw two
yeah,
villains in, and almost right away they're stepping on each other's toes,
Yeah.
or their dialogue feels so forced. It never feels natural.
yeah,
Dr. Eggman and Wily, I mean, they got along, and they just meshed so well up until the key point
Yeah.
when they realized that they had the wrong idea about the other doctor, you
Yeah.
know, and it, their perception of each other changes, and then that's where everything starts to fall apart. And normally in crossovers, the villains don't actually get along even in the beginning, or
yeah,
they don't feel like they have a chemistry, whereas these two characters
Hmm.
do. And I think that that's part of why the crossovers work so well.
yeah. I mean, just good villains, and of course, the heroes, Sonic, Mega Man. I mean, they work well together, of course.
We'll see, but that's the thing is that whenever you have heroes, like if you have a crossover like this and you've got the two heroes pitted against their two villains, the two heroes are always going to be like, "Oh, dude, our villains are like totally teaming up. We should like do the same to double our strength and stuff."
Yeah,
Yeah.
What hero, apart from like like some kind of an anti-hero or something, would be like, "No, I don't think so."
I'll do this my own.
Yeah, I mean, and even then, you would still it's like if you had Wolverine in that position, he'd be like, I go where I want to go, and he'd just do it. He would try and do his own thing, but eventually he would come to the realization that he would have to work with whoever else was
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially after Rouge is taken as well.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
So I think though that what really sells it is just that the two villains have been just so great together. and
Yeah.
it's led to moments like having Shadow Man and Shadow Man appear together.
Yeah.
I mean, because that was one of those things that as soon as the naming convention of the roboticized Masters came out, and you knew he was going to be called Shadow Man, it's like, oh well, there's a Mega Man. There's actually a Shadow Man and Mega Man already, so
Hmm.
they've got to play on that, right? And they do it, but it's not forced. I mean, it happens so organically in the story.
Yeah.
You know, we should send Shadow Man. Which one? Why not both? And
Sure,
it's
why
great.
not?
It's great. It works really well.
Man, and did you guys hear like Ian's like canned idea? Like he had like one idea he wanted to do, but I think the editor canned it.
Oh, what was
Mm.
it?
He
Oh,
wanted
yeah.
to he wanted to have Metal Sonic and Bass, I believe.
Hmm.
He wanted
Yeah.
them to merge together into like one larger enemy, like Metal Bass.
Now,
Huh.
see, it's one of those things that I could see it working, but only on one level. In that, in the Mega Man games, certain characters have assist units. I forget what the actual
Yes.
term is,
Um,
but like rushes to Mega Man, or
yeah,
like
and
treble is to
trouble is to the
bass,
base.
and they can combine, but it's more like when Mega Man and Rush combine, Rush is more like extra armor for Mega Man, to where he's become like a big like heavy set of armor, or in most games when they merge, he becomes like a jetpack.
Yeah,
And treble and bass fusing, he gets like wings and flies around and stuff. And I mean, if they did something like that, where Metal Sonic somehow became um, like a support unit for bass in that
Mm,
regard,
yeah.
that could have been interesting.
yeah,
But I have a
maybe.
feeling that it was meant more in terms of like Metal Overlord.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like Metal Sonic himself doesn't really seem like the type who would just be an assist.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, like if they had used the Metal Sonic, the sentient one, I could see it kind of trying to, at the last second, try and pull something like that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well,
And then of course he would become the enemy that even the villains team up with the heroes to get rid of, or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
see,
the
it
end of
would
most of
end
the
up, it would end up
Sonic
losing
games.
focus from the crossover. That's what would end up happening.
Mm,
I mean, when you get like Chaos Devil, you throw two mindless monsters together, and you get something for them to fight. But then
Yeah.
if you have two sentient creatures, bonding or whatever, each vying for personal control, it's going to end up taking more, page time away from everything else.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can see
well,
why it was canned.
I think it could still be done, but I think it's one of those things that maybe if they ever do a second crossover, maybe
They
save
could
for later.
try. Yeah.
You maybe stick it in the folder for later, I guess.
Yeah.
I wonder if when all this is said and done, if it will leave the door open for it happening again. And
Or
I don't
or
just mean that. I don't mean that in terms of
or if
business.
Ian's actually alive after he got death threats from the art team.
No, but I mean not in terms of the of business, like
Yeah.
whether or not RG still has both licenses or something. But I mean just in terms of, will the story be set in such a way that that would happen organically within the, that it could
Yeah.
happen organically within the story.
Yeah, like they'll end up getting linked on the Cosmic Interstate or something in the
Well,
comics.
I'm thinking more along the lines of the reason it happened at all, like the way it was written into the story, was that the initial Genesis wave caused some kind of dimensional hoopla and sent
Yeah.
the Blue Chaos Emerald careening off into a whole another universe.
Oh yeah,
So apart from that ever happening again, what are they going to somehow? Is there going to be a link or a door open, perhaps?
who knows?
Will the Skull Egg Zone remain? I doubt it, but
That's good, you know.
A particle of it will remain, and Doctor Eggman will rebuild it.
a little particle of it will remain, and Dr. Eggman keeps it with him at all times.
he wears it around his neck or something.
Has it like embedded on a slide.
Oh yeah, like a silicon chip or something.
Yeah, puts it on a necklace.
That would actually be almost heartwarming.
I actually, man, I understand now. Like early on, before the crossover started, Ian said that he had a hard time remembering that it's not all about Eggman and Wily, and I can understand it because they've just been their little friendship has been sort of the star of the whole crossover.
It really has. It's gonna be a shame to see him go, I guess. They
It
definitely
would
had
be
a very
hilarious. It would be hilarious if they ended up being like extra dimensional pen pals or something.
like write each other and send
Hmm.
it through the radio waves or something of the
Send each other
universes.
send each other emails.
Um, though I don't know. We'll have to see if the universe after the crossover will even allow that kind of stuff.
JC, what do you mean?
Well, haven't you heard? I mean,
What is the word? Bird, bird, bird,
the
Bird,
bird,
bird
entire
is the word.
bird, 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 bird. Sorry, I could. I'll behave. Continue.
the entire Sonic universe is getting well, not
Careful,
rebooted per
careful,
se.
careful about your wording here.
Shall I say, gently nudged into a different direction than it was previously.
I would call it a remix.
A remix.
Yeah, it's getting a
Yeah,
little
It's
remix
bit.
sounds
getting
good.
actually that is a good name. It's getting
They're not. They're
remixed.
not. They're not changing the tune exactly. They're just
They're adding
adding.
more bass drops.
Yeah, dropping the bass and adding some
Hit the
wubs. And,
bass can and kick it. Okay.
No, no, that's only in Mega Man's universe.
Yeah, I
yeah,
know.
But yeah, no,
but
it's Sonic Universe. Most of the main Freedom Fighters, so far as we know, are getting character redesigns.
mhm.
All of their uh, character forms, they're getting all new designs.
That
Hmm.
Um,
looks suspiciously like something Sega might draw.
yeah, they're very Sega Sonic, not in a bad way actually. And personally, I think
Yeah.
they actually looked pretty
I,
good.
I've liked all of the designs that we've seen so far.
Yeah, we had Antoine, Rotor, Sally, and Bunny.
Oh, spoilers! Antoine isn't in a coma anymore, apparently.
Oh, yeah, spoilers. Uh, they're all alive, just
Well,
like most of
Antoine
the
was
time.
the only one that was really in danger.
He was, but he is back somehow. We don't really know how. All we know is that he
So it's
he
not really
lost.
a spoiler, it's just he's alive.
He's alive, and yeah, he's got a redesign. Rotor has a redesign. He seems to be a bit.
He hit the weight room
Yeah. Well, to
during
be
the
fair,
crossover.
they all actually seem a little bit more action orientated.
Mhm.
Antoine, Rotor, even Sally. She
Well,
looks more like an action princess.
we haven't seen Sally do anything though.
We haven't seen her do anything yet. No.
I mean, the redesigns have all been. I mean, let's be blunt about it. Have all shifted the Archie characters that we've seen into a more Sega Sonic style,
Yeah.
where they match up with the body types of already established characters.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, Antoine follows like characters like Sonic or Shadow, whereas Rotor follows characters like Storm or uh, like
Hmm.
uh, I words have just fallen out of my
Like
head.
like big and
Bark.
heavy and
Hmm.
Well, not so much
bark
big
and
because big is very round. They've sort of like Rotor actually seems like he's lost weight, like he's become a bruiser character.
he's
Yeah.
bulked up.
Yeah, which is actually kind of weird when you think about it, considering they had Big, who kind of was the same body type as Rotor except on a bigger scale, and now Rotor's less like Big, but now he's more. He
Well,
actually looks like he's ready for action.
Big was also like 800, 900 pounds. So there was that.
Well, I guess that would be a little bit of a problem for Rotor, maybe.
Yeah.
I would prefer that he would lose a
Hmm.
few pounds than gain it.
Yeah.
He probably feels a lot better.
So yeah, they're all, and as far as we know, the entire world has been thrown into chaos and stuff's showing up. Where they're
Funny,
not
funny
supposed
that
to
you,
be, and
funny that you'd say it's been thrown into chaos, considering the storyline is called Countdown to Chaos.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, it seems to be building up to even like bigger chaos.
You know, and it's funny. I mean, I was thinking about it. It's funny that we've now got part two of Countdown to Chaos, a cover for it anyway, and yet that's actually the third issue of when we return to status quo.
Yeah.
Like, so we have like I wonder what that first issue is going to be like.
Meanwhile, the future issues for Mega Man look brilliant.
Oh yeah, the
They
Raw
look
Moon arc.
amazing. Yeah, the
I've been
Romulan
looking
arc
forward to
looks.
this.
Yeah, it looks impressive.
Mm.
Although, of course, there's one with Shadow Man on the cover, so I'm looking forward to that. I like ninjas.
Ninja
Well,
Man.
I think it'll be nice. The last few issues of Mega Man leading up to the crossover weren't
Had,
bad, but they felt very much like filler to me.
yeah, they were filler. I think what it seems like is that Ian had planned the Raw Moon arc coming up a little bit quicker. But with the advent of the crossover, he sort of had to build up to that
Yeah.
before having to do all that. So I had to come up with some
Well,
extra
I
filler.
think that actually was the original plan. He was going to run that and then the Raw Moon arc, but then like he got the go ahead for the crossover, so he had to, finagle everything around
right.
story
You know,
wise.
I mean, there was the one issue that was like a Happy New Year's type thing, or yeah, I think it was like a New Year's type special
Yeah.
where Mega Man had to chase down the Emerald Spears, and I mean it was a fine issue. The only issue that I really had a problem with was the Rock of Ages. I think that was issue 20.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where he was kind of like Mega Man was like falling through time,
Mm-hmm.
and it was
It
just a quick and dirty way to introduce a lot of
No,
the.
no, no. You want to know what that was? That was pretty much a love letter to all the Capcom, the fans like me who like all the little vague things in Mega Man. And seriously, my friend and I just geeked out totally when we saw our Shadow. So it was less of a shoving future stuff in and more of a just here you go.
I don't know that I agree with that because
Beautiful stuff.
I've played Mega Man since I was like 5, and I mean, I saw a lot of references and stuff in there, but more to me, like story wise, it just felt like a way to introduce all of the stuff that was going to become relevant during the crossover. Whereas I think that it would have been better to wait for the crossover, have a bunch of this stuff appear, and then be like where did all these characters come from? Stay tuned, Mega Man readers, to find out. Something like that. I don't know.
I don't know.
I imagine it was really more of both. It was a way to introduce the characters, to people who weren't really familiar,
Mm-hmm.
with Mega Man franchise, people like me, and then, show the characters people who were familiar to the Mega Man franchise, people like Lilac. And then at the same
Yeah.
time, it could kind of show off characters that would be in the crossover, again, it goes back to people who don't know Mega Man, people like me. Here are the characters you're going to see in the crossover. This is what they do. This is what they are.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, having to keep a wiki open, while I'm reading a comic.
Mm-hmm.
And I can, look back at that issue and be like, oh, there's that guy.
Mm.
So, I
Well,
mean, it could be like that.
regardless, I think that I'll be happy once the crossover ends and we get back to the main story.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I said, I felt like the last couple issues leading up to the crossover were starting to slow down. So
Yeah.
when we return, I'm hoping that things speed right back up.
Well,
And I hope that people start to tune into Mega Man a bit more.
Yeah, I'm
oh,
hoping that
definitely.
too. They'll get more sales and more fans, and Capcom may pay attention to him and
Hey, it
stuff.
sounds like that's already maybe starting to turn around a bit. So who knows?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll have to see.
But going back to that whole issue about everything changing in Sonic's universe,
Yeah?
it's kind of interesting. They've got
Mhm.
a pair of ads that have been appearing in the crossover, at least in the most recent issue, about when the crossover ends, one world lives and the other dies.
It was like,
Mhm.
what, one goes through an apocalypse or something?
Perhaps, or maybe maybe not apocalypse, but maybe a Pender apocalypse.
Enderpocalypse?
Oh.
Hmm.
Let's be fair here. None of us I mean, I don't imagine anybody who's listening to this podcast right now is at all unfamiliar with the fact that Ken Pender's previous Sonic writer for many years uh, has been in some legal dealings with Archie Comics publications here recently,
Mhm.
in that Archie took him to court over claims over copyright of characters that he produced when writing for Archie. That he says he did not produce under contract, and therefore they were his.
Yeah.
And that whole case seems to have come to some kind of an end. There was a supposed settlement, and the case subsequently dismissed, but we don't exactly know
Mhm.
what's coming of that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's really spoke of it. I think the only thing we've heard is Pender's, like, said it was some sort of co-agreement. But,
Well,
Yeah.
it's been said in the documentation that it was a settlement, that the settlement was reached, and because of that, the uh, judge dismissed the case.
yeah.
But it was a
Mhm.
private settlement reached outside of court. and there is
Hmm.
a gag order that has been placed on it, so any of the parties involved really can't talk about it.
Oh. Okay.
But we may get clues as to what that entails when we get back to Sonic's world later this fall.
Yeah. From what I remember Pender saying, like, he had the rights to use his characters, and Archie had the
Mhm.
rights too if they wanted to use his characters.
Yeah, Ken specifically said that he's able to go ahead with his stories, and that Archie is still able to use his characters, but that's up to them internally. Now, you could read that as him just saying, oh, it's co-ownership, or you could read it as saying, I own my characters and they can pay me if they want them.
Yeah.
Who knows? But it could be a reason that things are changing, and that could mean that a lot of those characters are going to get packed up on a bus and sent to Pendersville, and we may never see them in the Archie Sonic comic again. Who knows?
Mhm.
But we can read about them in Laura Sue Chronicles.
Oh boy.
Laura, you gotta say it loud.
Yeah,
New
because he always
World Order.
capitalizes it. He always capitalizes it when he types it for some
Yeah,
reason.
actually, just today, actually said the first 20 pages of his first issue will be released for free online. The
I think
first,
that's given all that's been going on and all the criticism he's gotten. I think that's actually kind of fair.
actually, I think it was a pretty smart business move. It's like, here, you guys can check it out. If you guys like it, you can buy it. If not, this is cool.
Initially I was kind of worried. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, this whole thing started back when Ken started getting fans of his going onto his forum and being like, "Hey, that Sonic Chronicles Dark Brotherhood seems like it's kind of taking some of your ideas from the comic." And from there, that just, you know, Ken seemed to get kind of agitated by that, and then he started copywriting all of his characters and was going to sue Sega and EA, which apparently that lawsuit is still going on, or
Yeah.
Mhm.
still going
Yeah.
to happen. Which that I find really interesting that they came to a settlement, and yet that's still happening. So I'm wondering how that wasn't
Oh,
nipped in
yeah,
the.
we're still waiting on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to wait and see and kind of judge for ourselves, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, Ken right now, he's really please not finally pushing his Larsu stuff forward. Though he can't use any of the Sega characters. I've noticed, like he's calling
Mhm.
Knuckles the Praetorian, I think,
Yeah.
and Rotor. So I can't use any of this old SAT-AM cast. Calling Rotor the emissary.
The emissary. Yeah.
Emissary, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, of course he couldn't use any of the Sega stuff. He doesn't have any legal
Yeah.
claim to that
Though
whatsoever.
though he is saying that he technically should own Archie Comics Eggman right now.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, his logic is such that he created Evil Sonic and Robo Robotnik, and those two characters were seen appearing in comic to change into new characters, and that his claim to those characters is now unopposed. So he should by that logic,
Huh.
he has claim over their new forms.
Yeah, he is Scourge and Eggman. He says he technically should own them.
Well, I don't know that he's quite said it that way, but
Well, I mean, I think that was the gist of what he was getting at. Is that
I think the point though is that he thinks that he has some sort of say over them when, I mean, come on. The fact that
Yeah.
he thinks that he would own an evil Sonic, you might as well just create an evil Mickey and then say you own Mickey Mouse,
personally,
Yeah.
I want to create Mariachi Sonic. I want to slap Sonic in a sombrero and some maracas
Olay!
and walk into Sega and be like, "This is my character."
You
And
Or
know,
or a pink Sonic or a
a
green
pink Sonic.
color.
It looks just like Amy, but it's not Amy. It's his pink Sonic.
you know, it doesn't work that way, copyright.
Yeah.
And I know that if Ken were to listen to this, he would probably be screaming, at his computer that he's had more experience with copyright than any of us. But
Uh.
while while it is kind of a sticky subject to get into, I mean, there's
Yeah.
a lot of reading you can do about it.
Oh yeah.
And though there are lawyers that specifically get an education in copyright law because it's so convoluted,
Prevalent and convoluted. Yes.
I don't know. Frankly, I still think his logic is flawed. And
We'll
Mhm.
have to see, and we'll definitely have to see what comes out of him visiting Comic Con this weekend.
Yeah.
well, I'm
He-
kind of disappointed that he's not going there as a creator. He's going there, it seems, as a fan.
He probably wants to relax after the lawsuit ordeal.
Oh, sure,
Yeah.
but I just, I'm just morbidly curious about what he's going to do with this whole
Well,
project.
actually, no, he said like he was like giving away like limited edition T-shirts of like his promotional art for Laura Sue Chronicles, and he would be like drawing sketches and stuff if anyone asked him.
Yeah, well, but
So it sounds like he's going as a creator who can't afford a table.
well, I don't know. I don't think that the way it sounded to me wasn't that he was going to be selling shirts at Comic Con, just that he was going to be selling shirts during Comic Con. So I mean, he could be doing that online.
Oh, yeah,
Who
that's
knows?
true. That's true. I didn't think about
Who
that
knows?
that way.
But what I want to see though are the designs of the characters, because early on he released 3 images, one of Julie Sue, one of Leanda, and then one of Dimitri,
Yeah.
redesigns that he was going to use in his little project. And I guess part of the point that I was going to touch upon earlier was that it seemed to me early on that he wasn't really out to get his copyrights. More, he was just trying to be a thorn in Archie's side and see how much he could get out of him. That's the way it seemed, just the way he was approaching it. So, but now it seems like he's really on board with this project, so I'm kind of curious to see where he's going to go with it and how the designs are going to look now.
Yeah, I mean, he's supposed to release like the promotional art here in the next couple of days, so we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I mean, part of me, I don't really hold any animosity towards him. I'll be honest. Even though he took half the characters in the comic,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know, part of me genuinely wants to see like his project actually come to fruition, since he's clearly very passionate about it, even if he's not entirely well like placed in his passion.
Yeah, I have a bit of a morbid curiosity. I mean,
Yeah,
honestly,
curiosity.
morbid curiosity, well, I mean, I'm not that familiar with the Sonic comics or anything like that. I mean, I'm pretty fresh and new, and I just jumped right in the middle of the whole lawsuit, didn't I? So
Oh yeah.
anyway, that's my thoughts. So
Yeah, it. I mean, the lawsuit is finally over, but it's going to be a couple months before we get to see any of the results of that lawsuit, because just because of the way the comic book industry works, it comes out months after
Mm-hmm.
anything that actually gets done in the offices.
yeah.
So,
Well, Comic Con is coming up next weekend, so we should at least be seeing something from Archie.
oh yeah,
And we will report on all of that. So
oh yeah, that's going to be our main topic next week, Comic Con, and all the good news comes out of that.
Good news, hopefully.
hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully good news.
Hopefully, with Penders saying he's going to appear at Comic Con, talking about maybe sitting in on the Archie panel. Hopefully, nobody does anything
Yeah,
reprehensible.
hopefully we're not going to report about any horrible person like hurting Penders.
Yeah.
He's just a guy trying to do his thing.
He is, and if any of our listeners are going to Comic Con and they see Penders, just don't hurt him. Don't throw anything at him.
Yeah, be respectful, guys. Be mature.
Respectful. Talk to the guy. Strike
Say
up a
hello.
conversation.
He may actually be nice.
I know. I mean, I understand he's got a goofy mustache, but I mean, it doesn't mean he's a bad guy.
Well, I guess we'll find out the same time next week, won't we?
Hopefully, same time
Same
next
time
week.
next week.
Next time, get a load of this.
The same get a load of this time, same get a load of this channel.
Get a load and get a load and get a load of this.
We've already done that joke, JC. I don't think it'll work for 2 episodes in a row.
You don't think they're gonna get a load of this?
Wave goodbye to the nice people, JC.
Bye.